With Quincy Carter out of the picture, literally, Romo was safely on the team for the 2004 season. Still at the bottom of the depth chart, Tony turned his sights on learning. And with veteran quarterback Vinny Testaverde at the wheel, there was plenty to soak in.
One thing you learn from is just through osmosis, so just being around. So you watch the way they handle things, the way they interact, they talk, what they work on, the way they watch tape. All quarterbacks do something well, and it's finding the intricate detail in each one's craft that makes them special at that specific thing. And when you figure that out, you can kind of incorporate it in your game and then go make it your own.
Vinny's tutelage lasted exactly 1 year. After posting only 6 wins in 2004, the Cowboys decided not to renew Testaverde's contract, and instead opted to render the services of another veteran quarterback, Drew Bledsoe. There was change in Dallas, but only at the top. And according to the dreaded 3-year rule, Romo's clock was ticking.
I asked Coach Landry a direct question. I said, how long do you stay with a guy before you decide to make a change? He said, the first year I try to give them the benefit of the doubt because a lot of them are young, they come from smaller schools, they're inexperienced, they're getting their feet on the ground. The second year I need to start seeing something. Third year, out. If they're not, you don't, out. That was always in the back of my mind.
In the second preseason game of Tony's 3rd year, Coach Parcells decided it was time to pull the trigger.
I said, you're going to get this whole game. I said, you get the whole game. So you prepare like this is regular season and you're starting the game and you're not coming out. And we were up in Seattle, I remember the night, and we gave it to him and he played very well. And that's when I kind of thought, hey, you know what? This guy's got a real shot.
He didn't give that sense very often that you're going to be the guy long term. I think you're just trying to go week to week and be at your best. I think that game was the first time that I proved probably to Bill that we might have a starting quarterback. I think that was the first time. Before then he said, okay, this kid could play in the NFL, and he knew that I could be here. At that game, though, with the consistency I played with throughout that game, I think I was, I don't even know, 18 for 22 or something. And they were pretty good defensive means at Seattle. That place has always been hard to play. And I think that showed Coach that I had that ability to maybe handle it better than I did that first year. By year 3, I was able to handle the environment and situation. And so I think that was the first time it probably, in his brain, he felt like, okay, I'm going to have to play Tony at some point.
The 2005 preseason game in Seattle proved Tony worthy of a roster spot for another season. But it would be a full year and a half before he would play in a regular season game.
Sometimes quarterbacks get to the point where you can't coach them anymore because they have a better idea. They're experienced, they know what to do, they have a better idea. That was the case in that game. We had what we call 60 pattern call to the front side. There's nobody in the read but the front side receivers. It's like 1, 2, 3. And the ball went over to the weak side. It was intercepted by Sam Madison. That's when you know you can't coach the player anymore because he has a better idea. Do you understand? I'll just do this. That was the straw right there. So this guy's going in there.
After 3.5 years, the waiting was over. Romo entered the game with wide eyes and high hopes. The following 30 minutes of football possessed everything Coach Parcells could ever hope to see in a quarterback, and several things he hoped to never see again.
Oh my God, the emotions of that game were just a roller coaster. I mean, you're intercepted on the first pass, gets tipped on a naked. It's like, oh gosh, then you come back and, it's just moving. I'm moving at like, speed of light, out there where it's just crazy. I mean, I'm looking at everything, seeing pump faking for no reason, just a whole bunch of stuff. And I just remember trying so hard. And I ended up throwing like 2 or 3 interceptions, I think, in a half. And then I think a couple touchdowns, just like a half of football. It was just like, I'm either throwing a touchdown or they're getting a touchdown. It wasn't much in between. And then they had to make a tough decision for the next week after that performance.
I think that Parcells knew that he needed something different, and Romo was that guy. And so whether it was going to be good or bad, we're going to go with Tony. And if it doesn't work out, you've got a pretty good fallback plan in Drew.
You're only afforded so many opportunities to be the guy, especially when you come from where I came from. I think when you're a first-round pick, you're going to get time. But when you're in the position I am, you only get 1 or 2 games. And I'm anxious to find out how good I actually am too. Because you think you're pretty good, you think you have a chance, but you really don't know until you get out there and play.
On October 29, 2006, under the national scrutiny of Sunday Night Football, Romo got his first NFL start. Trailing 14-0 at the end of the first quarter, Tony led the Cowboys to 35 unanswered points and a dominant win over the Panthers.
We were playing a good team in Carolina, and we went up there and got a big win. I felt like that was the time to say, man, good things are going to happen with him leading the way. And I just saw that confidence, a smile. There was a swagger that he had, that he brought. You want to be a part of it.
3 weeks later, the Cowboys hosted Peyton Manning and the undefeated Indianapolis Colts. That Sunday marked Romo's first start at Texas Stadium and the Colts' first loss of the season.
I thought we had a good chance there. They were undefeated, 9-0, and, we played pretty well. Defense played pretty well. I thought, we got a chance to. That's the eventual Super Bowl champions, if I'm not mistaken. And so, I don't think it was a fluke that we beat them that day. I think we played pretty well.
The Cowboys ended the regular season with a record of 9-7. And for the first time in 3 years, had secured a spot in the playoffs. The Cowboys' wild-card game against the Seahawks was nothing short of a dogfight. With 7 lead changes, a kickoff return for a touchdown, an attempted 2-point conversion, and a safety, it was only fitting that the deciding play of the game would be something out of the ordinary. Unfortunately for Coach Parcells and the Cowboys, that play came late in the fourth quarter. And with it, the hopes of a championship slipped from their grasp.
That's just one of those things that happens. But there's a lot more to it than just one game. You got to put wins together under pressure, on the road, in the playoffs, in bad weather. And or any of one of those things can stop you. When you're in your 60s and you've been coaching a long time and you know what you got in front of you to get back to that same opportunity, eventually just God tells you, hey, Parcells, you don't want to do this anymore. Hey, I was the poster boy for coming back and not be willing to give it up because I do love the game and it's a very exciting game, but it's time to move on. Everybody gets off the train. You gotta get off, and you gotta be happy you got off, and I'm happy I got off now.
Love them or hate them, the Dallas Cowboys are one of the most well-known sports franchises in the world. And arguably, the most recognizable athlete on the planet is the Cowboys quarterback. Along with that designation comes a tremendous amount of responsibility, pressure, and as Tony discovered in 2007, opportunity.
Every quarterback who's good is going to be put up in a position to, be a Parcells celebrity quarterback, I guess you could say. It's just a matter of how you handle all this stuff. When you're young, it's, oh, that sounds cool. My buddies are like that, so you go do things. I've always been someone who's pretty much been like, if it sounds like fun and I can still not take away from football in any way, I'll do it.
Turns out, the only thing more popular than a Cowboys quarterback is a winning Cowboys quarterback. And 2007 had plenty of that. Dallas dominated opponents and breezed through the regular season with a 13-3 record, the best in the NFC.
It was just one of those magical seasons where you just knew something special was going to happen. They won the division, and then they got the bye heading into the divisional round. As it turns out, the bye probably hurt them more than it helped them because of what happened there. And the Cowboys, some of the players, Romo included, Witten included, that went to Cabo to rest. Just as their head coach, Wade Phillips, had kind of asked them to do, is take some time off there. I don't know if he really wanted them to go to Cabo.
The following Sunday, Dallas hosted the Giants in the divisional playoff game. The Cowboys, who had won the two previous meetings between the teams, lost the game 21-17. And Romo's less than spectacular performance led both fans and media to one simple solution: blame it on Cabo.
Yeah, I didn't get offended by that. I think more than anything, when you're the quarterback, it's like after a game, you can do everything right, and you guys lose. You just take, you just know it's your job. You just kind of stand up there and say, that was my fault. I'll be better.